All right, this next section is over where we just test the 6 weeks dealing with area and surface area and volume. So I'm not going to do a lot of problems, just going to make sure you kind of start them correctly, but you do need to finish and work these sections, okay? The first thing, the two shapes you're going to see on your test are a parallelogram and a trapezoid. I highlighted those two boxes. One thing I want to talk about, because when we get into three-dimensional shapes, because some students are still having a difficulty understanding the B and the H. Okay, thing you need to remember, you have a formula chart that has this formula, but you need to remember, okay, or memorize, the B is perpendicular. That's the symbol for perpendicular to the H, meaning make a right angle. So we're looking for a box. Okay, I hope you understand what I mean by that. So what I'm saying is, if I see this box right there, where that box is formed with there's a T, or upside down T if you want to look at it. We have a base, a bottom, and a vertical, a top, well not necessarily a top, but the upside down T is formed right there where that box is, and that's the parts that I use for my base and my height. So if in a three-dimensional shape, especially with dealing with triangles, you look for that box, and next to that box are the base and the height. Alright, so the one that's test-like from here, let me see, it's 2, let me see if I need to extend the page. Oh, I just realized it's not on here, but number 1, okay, so start off with your formula, BH, and then label, make sure you can see right there, there was our box, so here's my base, there, I made my T, there's my height, so we know what numbers to put in there. So straight plug it in, okay, it's number 1 and 3 that are test-like. Again, there's my box. We're talking about trapezoid. There's 2 bases. There's a base 1. There's a base 2. Those bases are always parallel. Okay. And then, so here's one of the bases. There's the box. There, right there. I create that little T. There's my height. So we can just plug it in. Now, I know on our formula chart here, we have 1/2 parentheses base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Please do not forget your order of operations. So we have 1/2 of, I believe we have 11 plus 15 times our height, which is 7. Order of operations tells us that we are going to do our parentheses first, add those together. So our area is 1/2 of 26 times 7. Or I can look at it like this. Multiplication comes first, or division. 26 times 7. Then divide by 2. Alright, so do get the answer there. You are expected to work backwards. I do want to talk about the working backwards on number 4, because you will do that on another type of problem. But it says here, the height, we want to find the height of the triangle, which has an area, that it tells me the area is 192. So we're looking for this. And again, we have 1/2 BH. I already know what the A equals, it's that, so I'm substituting that in. It's the 192. 192 equals 1/2. I know my base is 24. I'm trying to find my height. So there's more than one ways to solve this. I could say I want to get rid of the 1/2, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 first. Okay? And that would give me, 384 equals 24H. Or, another way of solving this, or, because I have 192 equals 1/2 24H, I could go ahead and take half of 24. What is half of 24? Yep, correct, 12. And then we have 12H, and now I can divide it by 12, okay? So it works out either way, but just make sure we can work backwards dealing with half. That's usually where most people make the mistake. Our next type of test is dealing with the height. Need you to understand, not on the formula chart, but same as a rhombus, so memorize that fact. Same as a rhombus. We got 1/2, D1, D2 means diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Your test is number 8. I'm going to talk about 7 though to help make sure we're doing our formula right. So they want us to find the area. A is 1/2, D1, D2. We're multiplying between them. AC, that is diagonal 1. That's one of our diagonals. And then they tell us BD That's another one of our diagonals. That's the second one. So we're just going to substitute those parts to find the area. So A equals 1/2 our diagonal 1 times 14 times our diagonal 2, which was the 10. So we're going to multiply them together, or take a half of it and then multiply. But I know most of y'all like to do 14 times 10, then divide by 2, which is fine. 14 times 10 is 140. Half of 140 is 70. Okay? So this is what I was talking about. You have to work backwards. On number 8, D1 of the kite, in which the area is 414. So our formula is 1/2 D1 D2. Well, we know the area is that, so we're going to substitute the 414 in for A. 414 equals 1/2. Well, we have one of the diagonals. One of the diagonals we can see off the picture is 23. We need the second diagonal. We need to find the D2. So this is where it might be best to do what I said on the other slide, where we're trying to isolate the D2. So we want to multiply both sides first by 2. Okay? Because I can't take half of 23. You get a decimal. You can use a decimal if you want to. But I just think that maybe that might be easier. Okay, so it's just up to you. So when I do that, that gets rid of the 1/2. And then when I double 414, that gives me, I'm going to write that, 828 equals 23D. And so now all I have to do to D2, excuse me, all I have to do to solve for D is divide by 23. You do this. I'm not doing that, but you do need to work it all the way through. So these are a good section. Make sure you work the rest of these to help you with, because 10 is also test-like, and it's working backwards, so do that one. So is 9. These are good practice to make sure you're ready. I would go ahead, let's go ahead and omit 11 and 12. It's algebraic. You're not going to see that on the test. And then also in this section, we have circles, circumference, and area. I highlight the formula. This is on the formula chart, okay? So you don't need to memorize that, but just make sure you understand the parts. Always start with the formula. Your test will be 2 and 3. I'm going to start with 1, go to 2, help you use that to find D. Now, on number 1, I want us to find the circumference. Circumference is 2 pi r, or pi d, meaning pi times diameter, or 2 times pi times the radius. So because they gave me the diameter here, I'm going to use this formula. So the circumference is, my diameter is, so pi times the diameter, we have 6 over pi. I'm just kind of curious if y'all remember what happens if you did pi times 6 over pi. If you said that these pi's would cancel out and your answer is just 6, you're correct, okay? You won't have a fraction as a diameter. It's going to just be a whole number, and you're going to leave it in terms of pi. So that's why I'm talking about 2. It's going to always be in terms of pi on your test. So just find the area of circle R in terms of pi. Area is, this is on your formula chart, pi r squared. Well, our radius is given to us. Radius is from the center to the circumference, or to the edge of the circle. So I'm just going to substitute. Since r is 5, we're just going to substitute it in. Pi, parentheses, 5 squared. We're going to do order of operations. We exponents first, okay, for multiplication. So, and I'm just going to move over here. What is 5 squared? 25. So we write 25 pi as our answer. Now, I'm pretty positive it's in terms of pi. But since some people asked this question off the last 6 weeks exam, if you have a decimal answer, they will tell you to use 3.14 for pi. If they want you to approximate, they'll say use 3.14 for pi. But since most calculators have a pi button, and pi is irrational, and you should do your rounding after, at the end of all the operation, and since it's a very long, non-repeating, forever decimal, then we have a pi button that they want that you can use. So at the bottom left, over here, next to this AHO over here, there's a pi button. So if I wanted the decimal, our answer was 25 pi. We would type 25, then our pi button. There comes up pi, hit that, and then hit enter, and there's our decimal, and then we could round, okay? So that's just a recap of that. So on number 3, finding the area of circle Z in terms of pi. And so I'm going to let you do that one for circumference. Now, you will see a circumference problem when it's over the radius given. In this one, we use 2 pi r. Let's talk about this again. 2 times pi times the radius. That's what that means, 2 pi r. So that means we multiply 2 and 10 together. That would give me 20, and then keep pi, because I want it in terms of pi. So this section, you need to be able to work backwards and answer. I know you can do the rest of this. Then we go into composite figures, okay? It's just breaking into shapes, into more than one shape. And then you're going to have a shaded. Whenever you're dealing with shaded, you're going to deal with some type of subtraction, okay? You're going to have to subtract area of each shape, okay? And then we have here, our shapes are a rectangle, that's the whole. And the part I need to take out is the triangle. And I'm just going to do the simple. To find the area of a rectangle, that's just base times height. To find the area of a triangle, that's 1/2 base times height. So I look, can I find my base and my height of a rectangle? Well, even if I don't know a box, you should know a rectangle have 4 right angles. So we see 22 and 18. So we do 22 and 18. 22 times 18. Then we need to subtract it from 1/2 the base times the height. Well, if it's 22 in a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent. So now I see that my base of my triangle is also 22, and the height, is 9. Alright, so now we're just going to work that out. We get 396 minus 99, I believe. Yeah. So our answer is 297. Okay. So on this one, think about what shape do we need to subtract. It's usually the unshaded one. So it is a half circle on number 6. We're going to omit 7 and 8 because we're not going to do on the grids. So omit 7 and 8. But still try to do number 6 to help you practice composites. And then we go into surface area, prisms and cylinders. It will be a lateral area question. Some key facts that you need to remember. The bases are the 2 congruent shapes. So this is a triangular prism here, guys. Make sure you realize that, okay? You can see the 2 parts that are congruent first. And then you see that as a base. So most of you have a habit, which is a good one, putting the B there, right? And so also remember, perimeter is your distance around the base. So that means I would go around my B, okay? So make sure you're going around. You don't add vertical and height, things like that. Okay. And then H is your distance between the base. So make sure you know that. You're going to have one lateral area, one surface area. And on here, 2 and 4 are your test light. You're going to be asked to do the lateral area. The first thing to recognize will be what type of shape you're dealing with, what is the base, because if I look at my formula, lateral area is pH. P is the perimeter of the base. That's why knowing that base is important. So what would be our base for number 2? Think about it. If you said the 2 triangles, you're absolutely correct. Okay, so we need to find the perimeter around this triangle. Well, perimeter is our distance around. So I would go here, then back up my hypotenuse, which is the same as this hypotenuse over here. So I already know. I don't have to even do Pythagorean theorem here. I already know. So my perimeter would be 5 plus 2 plus 5.5. 4, excuse me. So our perimeter would be 12.4. And then the height will be the distance between the bases. Your height's your distance between the bases. There we go. So our height is 7. So now you got to do is just plug it in. Okay, plug it in and get our answer. It'll be centimeters squared. And then for your cylinder, lateral area again, on your formula chart, says the lateral area is 2 pi r/h. So the beauty about a cylinder is all I need to do is plug in my parts. I need to know my radius. My radius is half the diameter. It's from the center to the circumference. So this is the diameter. It's 8. So the radius is correct 4. I know you can do that mentally and physically. You can just see it off the picture. Just make sure you use the right number, and it's the radius and not the diameter. Don't just plug in things that you see off the picture. Know what you're using. And then your height, again, is your distance between our bases. Our bases here are circles, okay? Our base are circles. So the distance between them is the 15. So we're just plugging it in. Keep our answer in terms of pi. Keep our answers in terms of pi. So you're also going to do surface area of pyramids, okay? And so I highlight the pyramid. Make sure you know the parts. Understanding, I forgot to highlight this part, that in a pyramid and a cone, you're lucky in the sense that you can see the base because it's going to be, I probably should have done a different color. It's always at the bottom for a pyramid and cone. And make sure you understand the slant height. The slant height is the height of the triangle, okay? The lateral face. It's slanted, it's leaning. All right, so your test like on this page will be number 1. And so, I scroll down, sorry. So make sure you can round to the nearest 10 if you need to. Start off with your formula. The total, this is lateral. All right, so our lateral area, but I believe on the test it's going to be total. So let's just, let's go ahead and put total surface area. It's 1/2 PL plus B. I cannot stress enough. Do not use /right surface area equals PL plus B divided by 2. That is wrong. This says to do this first, second. Multiplication and division comes before addition. So you have to take 1/2 PL, then add the base. Okay, just understand, we know this is our base, our square, and right here is our slant height. So you should be able to plug it in by now. So do that one. You need to understand the perimeter. B is your area of the base. We just finished this unit. I'm not going to go into detail of this, but just make sure you do not do that. All right, and then we have surface area of pyramids and cones. But we're talking about changing of dimensions. I forgot to put that there. There's one test problem to this. The thing that you need to memorize, okay, memorize the rule. We just did this for this unit. Is that for surface area, the scale factor is squared, okay? Scale factor is squared. So, for example, describes effects of the change of surface area on the given figure. The dimensions are triple, okay? Triple would be our scale factor. So our scale factor is 3. So for surface area, you take that scale factor and you square it. So it's 9. So it would be 9 times bigger, okay? We will multiply it by 9. So make sure you know you're using the correct scale factor. That is that section. And that takes care of area, surface area. And I believe do we have any volume? Did I miss that? No. Okay, so those are those questions, and then we're going to go into circles. So if you're ready to move on, move on. Thank you.